And that for me is what's fun, going to practice. Well, starting just from practice planning, from organizational standpoint, mapping out what we got to do, and then putting kids in a situation, and then building a schedule that's going to be competitive, then managing the budget, and then teaching our coaches, and then game planning, and all that stuff that is a small part of the big umbrella of being a head coach is what's fun, and winning is the byproduct of all that.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it.
Today we're joined by the head boys basketball coach at Vela High School, Lucio Rodriguez. He has a career record of 185 wins and 75 losses in his 7 years at Vela High School. Coach Rodriguez has led the SaberCats to 6 district championships, including the last 4 consecutive years. They made the UIL 5A Regional Finals in 2024 with a 36-6 record. Coach Rodriguez has been named District Coach of the Year 6 times, All-Area Coach of the Year twice, and he's a 2-time Don Coleman Outstanding Coach of the Year finalist. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
Coaches, the Jamodi Podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
Coach,
What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I just want to thank you so much for giving up your time coming on here talking hoops. I had the pleasure of getting to meet you at TABC, this spring, and so this is awesome.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I was walking by and I saw you. I saw you there. I was like, I know that guy. I was like, I recognize you. Didn't know you were that big. You're pretty big when I stood up next to you. About 6'4". So I was like, man, he's pretty big. He don't look that big sitting down.
Definitely not that big, especially sitting down. But what's funny about that is, being at Baylor playing there, I would see people kind of out in Waco, and they would be surprised that that I was 6'3", because on the floor I look so small out there, with all those other guys. So yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So you're moving out. You're settling your stuff. I know you got a new gig, so I'm sure that's part of the deal.
Yeah, we are about 3 weeks, for 2.5 weeks from moving down to Waco officially, and just trying to get some things set up here. And, it has been, moving's never easy, and it has been a relatively smooth thing. Now, my wife, she's doing a ton of the work. And so to me, it's really
Yeah.
smooth. To her, it may be like she may get upset hearing that. But no, we were able to, got the job at Midway, and then probably a week and a half later, put our house on the market here. And on the same day, got 2 really good offers on it, and then also went down to Waco, looked at about 6 or 7 homes, and found the one, put an offer, and they accepted. And so, about if you're going to move, it's been about as smooth as possible.
Good deal, and congratulations, by the way, on the new job. Is that somewhat something you wanted to do? Go back to Waco?
Told me 2 months ago that I'd be moving down that way, I probably would have said, no way. Like that's not it. I love Waco. I had an awesome 4 years there, but I've been in Dallas Fort Worth pretty much my entire life. But also even 2 months ago, there wasn't, I wasn't looking to leave Faith in a way of like, I got to get out of here. I don't want,
Yeah,
I love the school, love the people, and had great players coming up, the culture really strong. But this was the first spring since I've been at Faith that my son graduated, and Jan and I, my wife, talked about, all right, you can open yourself up to, if something out there is interesting, then you can check it out. And because I've
good
just never
deal.
allowed that to happen. And I saw that Midway had come open. I knew that Coach McDade had been there, and I knew him from the Southlake days and had him on the podcast probably about a year ago. And I just called him. I was like, "Coach, just tell me a little about it. Like, why are you leaving?" And he said, "I'm just retiring. I'm going to do some different things." And I said, "Well, what do you think of Midway?" He said, "It's the best job I've ever had." And like when a guy
Yeah.
like that I respect says that, I was like, "Okay, well, let me know or tell me more." And Jana had a really good idea early spring for me to write a checklist down of if I was gonna leave Faith, like, what did it have to look like? What did the job have to look like? And as I was going through all that process with Midway, man, it was just check, 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 check. And so the prayer was really, okay, Lord, like if you don't want us to do this, close some doors. Make
Yeah.
some obstacles, keep me from and there's just nothing. And so when Coach Shelton, after I met with him, when he called and asked me like, "Hey, do you want this?" And I just, without even pausing, said, "Yes, sir." And as hard as it was to say goodbye to all the people that I love at
Yeah.
Faith, it just really seems like this is the next step for me and Jana.
Good deal, man. Congratulations again. I know you're excited, and I'm sure you're gonna do well over there.
I
And
appreciate that.
if you ever want to come down here to our tournament, you let me know. We have a pretty good tournament down here,
When is
32
that? What
teams.
date?
It's right before Thanksgiving, the 20th through the 21st. Yeah, so we have a 32 team tournament with teams all over. We got Katy schools, we got San Antonio
Nice.
schools, Bridgeland Cypress comes down, and of course Valley teams as well. So last year, Katy Seven Lakes won it, so they were down here, but they're not coming back. They're going out of town this year, so he
Okay.
dropped us. So no big deal, but we're trying to build it up, trying to bring some out of town teams and expose the Valley to some great talent. So
Yeah.
it's been good for us. Been good.
I'll definitely look at that. There's an incredible coach at Midway, Stephen Bloomstrom, that is staying on with me, and I'm very excited to announce. He knows this, and by the time this comes out, it'll already be common knowledge. But he's going to be my varsity assistant next year. He was the JV coach, and so he's been just done an amazing job this spring. During the transition, keeping it going, and so I'm excited for him to take that spot. But he's really been in charge of the schedule and keeping things going from what Coach McDade had, but we
Yes.
recently just sat down and looked, and so that's definitely something we'll look into. But
Yeah.
Coach, I gotta say, I'm very excited to have this talk with you. So in
Yeah.
2023-24, you had an incredible season, 36
Yeah.
and 6. How did this past season go for you?
Pretty similar, 34-5, another undefeated district championship, and then we lost in the area round to the number one team in the state, Corpus Christi Vets. So we ran into them with a big school, small school split. We had a tough draw with Corpus Christi Vets, so we lost to them in the second round. We were at one point going into the postseason, we were 18th in the state. Uh, so we're doing pretty well. I mean, not to say you want to beat the best to be the best. So it didn't matter. We had to go through Corpus Christi Vets to make a good run. So fortunately, we caught them in the second round, and they were able to keep going, and that's where we lost. So it was a good experience for us. But yeah, we're ready to reload again. They're also ready. They bring everybody back as well. So we'll see how it goes.
How did you like the split between the big and small?
I I thought at some points, like if you look at it, very unfair to some schools because in one sport they were playing big school and then another sport they were playing small school. So are you a big school? Are you a small school? Well, no, it depends who goes in, well, it depends who doesn't go in. So it's very inconsistent as to measure the success of a holistic program of a school. Well, the girls basketball team went D1, but the boys basketball team went D2. The baseball team went to the Elite Eight, but they went D. So it's very
Oh, yeah.
inconsistent for schools to measure or to even prepare where they're going to end up come playoff time. Some schools like ours, we're going to be big school regardless because we're the highest enrollment in our district. But those middle enrollments, they that don't really know where they're going to end up. I think it's a little unfair for them. And I think they should have waited till the next realignment and just make it like D1, D1, 5A, D2, and from there play it out.
I've heard that from a lot of people, well, kind of the stories that you said, and but you're right. You also mentioned, like, at some point, you're gonna be playing the best anyway. You're gonna
Yeah.
meet
No.
somebody that is either, unless you're that one that finishes it all the way out, you're gonna meet somebody that's as talented or talent more. And at Midway, the challenge is it's a good district this year. I mean, got one more year until a realignment. I think some things may happen with the clean schools, but we'll see. But it's a good district, and if you make your way in, your reward is the Duncanville district first
Yeah.
round. But it's kind of like you can either, I think it's all about how you frame it with your team, right?
Yeah.
You can either look at that like, hey guys, like let's just get in and man, we'll see what happens. Good luck. Sucks to be us. You could take that route, or
Yeah.
I mean, what a privilege, like, right? That pressure is
No,
a
no.
privilege to get to play those types of teams. And then what you got to do is make sure. And one of my buddies, Chris Ryburn from Midland Christian, had a great nugget years ago. He said, you got to make sure that the best teams that you play aren't in playoffs. And I think the
Yeah.
meaning is that is like in pre-district, you got to be out there trying to find some teams that will push you more, or at least to the level. Maybe there's not a lot better than Duncanville and those guys, but
Yeah.
at least to their level, right?
No, and that was the excitement too. That second part of your statement was the approach that our guys brought to our team. Hey, we get through them. Now it's we're the ones to beat. And then not only that, what an opportunity to play the number one team in the state. Not everybody gets to say that. Not everybody gets to have, of course, the teams in their district do, but in the playoffs, hey, you're gonna face the number one team in the state. Not everybody can say that, and we're fortunate, to play them. We played them well. Of course, we can always basketball is a hindsight sport. If we would have done that, we would have done this, but it's here or there. Uh, Now it's just focus on next year.
With the district that you have, the path that you got to take, all throughout the season, we're trying to get better and better, be 1-0 each night. But what's your philosophy on the how you use scattering reports and what type of in-game adjustments that you make?
Yeah, that's a great question because I've kind of grew through my coaching career. I don't want to say I was a young head coach, but my only head coaching job was at 30 years old. And at 30 years old, you think you have it all figured out. And
Yeah.
I used to be very big on scouting reports on the kids, and I would quiz them in the middle of practice. What does this sign mean? Or when he rubs his tummy, what are they trying to do? And what I've learned is I was putting kids in uncomfortable situations, and it was only getting me frustrated. And as the years went by, I learned that the scouting report is more for me. It's not my kid's job to know when the coach's ear gets tugged. What I mean, it's my job to know what it is, what that means, and how to prepare my kids. So that's the approach that I've been taking. I think 2 or 3 years now, and I've found it a lot more beneficial to our kids. I don't have to put that pressure on them of knowing if they have a sideline break or if they have a special ATO. If I know it, if I know it's my job to know it, and then I'll relay it like, hey, sideline, we're shooting a free throw, sideline break, push to the sideline. I don't need to be questioning them in practice and putting them in a tough spot where now they're nervous and they don't want to answer. And then they start stuttering, hey, we're not here to do that anymore. But I used to stop practice and quiz them. Hey, if he does this, what's that? And then, of course, the ripping. Y'all aren't watching film. You're not paying attention. You don't care as much as I do. And it's not for them to care as much as I do. I think one of the coaches on your podcast or another podcast said it perfectly. They're like, it's our job. Oh, no, it was the coach at TABC from St. Thomas. He's like, it's our job to care. It's our job to care more than the
Yeah.
kids. That's
Yeah.
our biggest job. And so I scout. I do send them text messages with their sets. I do send huddle playlists with their signals. I'll freeze it, put the circle on there, diagram it, and let them know. We did different things. I've done the iMovie that shows the clip. the frame and the sign, and just send it to them as a text message and let them watch it like a YouTube video, like a TikTok that they watch. And that's helped out. But for me to be on the court and quiz them and see if they know, that's not their job anymore. Like, at least in my program, it's my job and my staff's know the scouting report, and then to game plan around it and put our kids in a situation where they're going to be successful.
I love that. I think you and I are a lot aligned on how you view that as a 30-year-old coach at Faith. My first job, head coaching job, I mean, I was trying to think back to what did Coach Bliss do at Baylor? Well, we had an 8-page packet. You know, what did Coach Drew do? They before games, they would quiz us and we couldn't leave to go out there and shoot until we had the quiz right. You know, what did Wes Watson do at McKinney? And it was a big packet. And there's nothing wrong with those packets. So I
No,
don't want to come off like that in any
no, no.
way. But I think you nailed it. We need to know and be prepared for what they do, and we need to be able to explain it to them at the right time. But I don't know about you. I got a little bit tired of going into the locker room and seeing the scouting report just on the floor or in the bottom of a locker and wondering and questioning how much time did they really spend on this? And so the question is like, how simple can I make it now?
Yeah,
How simple can I make it? Maybe with our style of play, how we guard things. Like let's just say if we switch every action, well, then a lot of actions, we already have
yeah,
the answer. Like we know what to do, but there's those guys out there, and my hats are off to them. Guys like Daryl Kraft, just retired from McKinney North, that knows he will be at it feels like every game of their opponents, and he will know everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you mentioned it too. Like, we want them to care the appropriate amount.
yeah.
It's their game, our job. We can't make them care like it's their job, right?
Yeah, most of these kids, basketball will end at the high school level. They don't want to be coaches. They don't want to be professional or collegiate athletes. But on the other side, I've had a great group of kids where three or four of them they care as much as us, and now you got a
Yeah.
great team. I had a point guard this year that I would send them. I got two funny stories. I got a point guard that I would send the stuff, and in the game he would see it and he would call it out too. Boom. That's just the plus. That's a bonus. That's, hey, now there's two of us out there, one on the court and one on the sideline. So you're gonna have those kids too that care just as much and want to learn and want to play at the next level. And to play at the next level, they are going to get the 8 pages. So those are conversations we have, like, hey, you are looking to play at the next level. You're scouting should be taken a little bit more serious, not just for me, for the team, but just to prepare you for the next level. And then I have a manager. I've had him 4 years, and he knows more than my players. I'll send the set out a morning. Hey, we're working on these two sets. I expect them to read it, right? Come out. Okay, line up. I'm just going to use generic plays. Line up for one. And a couple of them kind of know. Manager hops off the chair, has a folded paper with notes, and he's like, okay, you go here, you go there, you go there, you go there. And he teaches it to them. And I'm like, wow, he cares, he cares. So that's someone that I'm looking out for, maybe as a student manager, GA, role for the college, because it'll help him because he cares. So you're gonna have your no like no other thing is opposite sides of the spectrum. Guys that care, that want to be better, that see basketball in their future. They want to be a coach. They want to be something at the collegiate level. And then you got the guys that like to play just basketball in high school. Hey, that's fine. I got one that played high school and he's about to be a physical therapist. But he was a great player for us. But I'm not going to harp on that kid to know XYZ every single time. He was a good player for us. We won district championship with him. Now he's going to be a physical therapist. That's what he wants. Why am I going to put that amount of pressure if he doesn't see basketball as a future career? So kind of meddling those balances, it's tough as a coach because we're in this profession because we have a passion passion for the game and the passion for kids, and to have that passion met sometimes is like, well, let me take a step back. They don't want to be in my position one day, and sometimes they're going to be in a better position than what we are in right now, and that's kudos to them, better for them.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great point to know based on what their aspirations are. Those that do want to play after, maybe we do get deeper with them and not hold them to a higher standard, but a different standard based on what they want to do. But then those that are like just in it to be, this is their basketball journey. It's going to be over soon. I think it all goes back to knowing your players. What are some things that you do to get to know their goals, dreams, aspirations throughout the year?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I'm learning that as a coach, and I do got players that do want to play on the next level, and they don't have to be conversation that everybody knows about. They can be conversations in the classroom, in the office. Hey man, look, we had this scouting report for this player. You're looking to play at the next level, at a high level. You're not going to be able to make these mistakes. And I'm not upset at you because I'm not upset at anybody on the team, but I'm trying to give you some advice as to how you're going to be, the expectations you're going to have at the next level. And it's a conversation, office, closed door. I'm not upset at you. You missed this scouting report right here, not only once or twice, but 3 times. But let's just tighten that up. Not for me. We won last night. No, we won. We took care of business, but we have a short turnaround time where there's not enough time for me to get on that kid on that specific example. But at the next level, son, you're gonna see some repercussions for these mistakes. So just conversations that people, not everybody has to see, not everybody has to know. And it's me understanding what that kid wants to do at the next level.
I think the way that you went about that conversation, that meeting is really impressive because it honors the player. It's challenging them to be better, but it's not embarrassing them. How do you feel like that you can get your point across better with that method than everybody in the gym bringing something up that and calling someone out and possibly embarrassing a player? I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, definitely. That's another one that's changed from year one to year seven. And perfect example is film. I find myself watching film was nothing but a negative time. And like, what are we doing this? And I haven't used it a lot, but I use the word expensive. That's expensive. Like we're wasting a lot of time and we're not getting anything done, and that's expensive. And what we were talking about earlier, because I was going to say that's expensive too. Film is
Just
expensive.
yeah, saying things in front of the whole team when it's really just about one player. I get where you're going. Maybe that's expensive because it's only benefiting
Yeah,
one. You could or helping one. You could always say that, like, when I'm coaching him, it's for everybody. I
yeah,
get that. Like, everybody needs to hear the reminders that you're giving. But when it's a lengthy conversation and it's really only an issue that one player is having, do you really want to spend? Because you're right. That what's expensive is the time. That's what we can't get back. And do you really want to spend that time on that one conversation where everybody's standing and waiting, or can we do that one-on-one?
yeah. And the scouting reports. That's what I was gonna say. The scouting report. That's expensive because, well, like you said, you'd find them on the floor. But how long did it take you to make that scouting report? That's expensive. That's a 8 hour scouting report where the return on investment is paper on the floor. That's expensive to me. That film's expensive in a way that we're gonna spend so much time talking about stuff that's wrong, and the kids, and I've heard it. The kids like, and that's what we come watch film for. Like, and I'm a balanced guy where we show good clips and bad clips, but the ones they remember are the bad clips. And we've tried to frame it, we try to word it different, where we're not talking about Joe here. We're talking about the position. If you were too happy to be in this position, this is what we don't want to see. So we're talking about the position, but Joe takes it as we're talking about Joe. So we've
Right.
tried to reword it. We try to reword it. And back to what I was saying, like, it's my job to understand what we did wrong in the game. That's my job. Watch the game. We didn't guard pick and roll coverages correct. We weren't ready for this action. We weren't the game plan was off. That's the first. It was the game plan on with the game plan off. And then, well, it's my job to create a practice plan that's going to fix those problems. It's not my job to tell the kids what they did wrong. It's my job to come back and, all right, we need let's formulate this week's plan where we're going to hit XYZ because XYZ is what came out wrong in the game plan. And no need to show it to the kids. They are going to go out there and do the drills. They're going to do the drills. They're going to do them hard. And hey, remember, we're doing this drill because when we see a ball screen to the single side, we want to blitz it because we really don't have any gap help on the single side. Okay, coach. But that all falls back. That all comes from the game that we just watched that we didn't execute that properly. But I don't have to sit in the film room and tell them, hey man, why aren't we blitzing pick and roll to the single side? We don't have help. We don't. It doesn't have to get to that. I already saw it. I already know it. Let's just go out and fix it. You know, and that's been 2 or 3 years where less film, more practice, more planning.
Less film, more practice. I know that there's probably a lot of coaches when they hear that are automatically thinking, God, that's me. Like I'm
Yeah,
the opposite of that. I'm more film and less practice. And I think because that is the challenge of Tyler Costin talked about. And everything we're doing, we need to shave off some. Like if you write an email out, you need to read it over and take 20%. If you write a practice plan, look over and take 20% out of it. I think film is that same way. You nailed
yeah,
it, man. Like how much more could we get out of them by them doing the actions, overseeing it? And I'm not saying that they don't need to see it. And then
yeah,
you went a whole other great direction too of what should film be? It should be a classroom. It should
yeah,
be where we learn. And one of the biggest things I feel like that stops that is emotion. When
yeah,
we're getting upset and we're taking things out on the team for the negative plays that we saw the night before. To tie a bow on this, I think is what leads to them learning more. To me, it's a quick approach and especially if you could teach them from what they're doing right, so they want to do more of that.
yeah,
But if we are going to highlight a clip of a way that we're maybe late on something and can do something better, make it quick. Don't have a negative emotion tied to it. Talk to the entire group, not just one person, and then you allow film to guide your practice plan for that day. Because I
yeah,
think that we're guilty of this too. We're going to watch a lot of stuff on film, what we need to do, but then we don't address it actually on the floor. We just go
no,
about with the normal plan that we typically have. Because whether we realize it or not, we all have rhythms that we kind of go through where our players could almost guess what we're doing next before
for
we
sure.
actually tell them. Let's let film guide what we need to do and games guide what we need to work on the next day.
Yeah, and another thing is identifying what's a mistake and what's a problem. Was that a mistake? Like, well, we were in this situation 6 times, a ball screen to a single side, and only one time we didn't blitz it. Well, that's a mistake. That's not a problem. Now we're in a pick and roll to a single side, and we flunked it where we didn't blitz it 4 times, and we only blitz it 2. Now that's a problem. So don't harp on mistakes. Like I'm gonna make a mistake on coaching. We're not gonna make every shot. We're not gonna execute the game plan 100%. So watch the film not just once. And when I said cut the film, I mean cut the film in terms of your work day. Like I come home, I watch a lot of film. You watch my huddle time at the end of the week is like 12 hours, something like that, something crazy like that. But watch it multiple times and see if it's a mistake or if it's a problem. And mistakes are gonna happen, even in practice, even in the game, in your everyday life, and we should go in to the game with an expectation there's going to be some mistakes, and have an answer sheet to those mistakes. Because if you go into the game with the expectation that you're going to get every rebound, every box at it, you're going to find yourself frustrated the whole entire game because every little mistake that we make. Go into the game, understand that your kids might jump a back cut and you might get got. Understand that. But what's going to be your answer sheet was also the help site. There was, okay, the what's the trigger to the back cut? Is it a dribble ad? Is it a spin out? Is it, so then teacher, hey, remember when they spin out, that's triggering the back cut or the jump start, so have those answer sheets. Like, you can go into the game and kind of predict where your kids are gonna mess up here and there, because it's a tough action, because it's a tough player. This kid, he averages 9 rebounds a game. I mean, and the game plan is that we're gonna box out number 32 because he averages nine offensive rebounds a game. Well, we're gonna expect at least maybe one, and when it does happen, just remember that guy is a face guy. We're facing him, that he got his one. Okay, let's go. No more the rest of the game. Okay, coach, I got you. Rather than, I found that to be more productive than, that guy is a face guy. He doesn't need to be rebounding. You can just tell me, hey, all right, he got his one. No more. Okay, coach. I've gotten the response that, yeah, coach, I got you. That's the only one he's getting. That's the only one he's getting. And where in turn you'd go, you already know that guy is a face guy. The guy's like, I know, coach, I'm trying. The response is also emotional, the way you delivered the emotional speech. So that's came from years of being in that situation. And I like to use that we're not coaches, we're coachologists, and it's not even a word, but it's a word made between a coach and a psychologist. And you're that. That's what you are. You're both of those in the middle of the game.
Love
Yeah.
that. Coachologist. I've never heard that before. And I also
Yeah.
love the 2 categories that you had things in, because I think, how many times am I choosing clips that are mistakes, but missing out on clips or not working on things in practice that are actually the problem? I think when we watch film, that's probably the lens that we've really got to look at it through. I don't think I'm very good at that. And how
Yeah.
much time could I save on eliminating the clips of mistakes, and how much better could we be because I'm actually, my eyes and my coaches, we are addressing the problems and we're helping us fix that. And like, I was trying to think of, like, for us, getting to corners, really important offensively. And if we don't, you kind of talked about it early on too, these may be individual mistakes and problems, not team wide. So if Johnny doesn't get to a corner, do I show that clip? Well, what if it's just Johnny? John, everybody else is getting to corners. It's just a mistake that he made, or even just a problem that he has, but not team wide. But yet I'm going to spend the time in film or on the floor on just that one thing, where it can just be a reminder one on one. Ultimately, maybe you nailed it. This might take a little bit more effort on our part, instead of just when we're watching film, that's a turnover, that's a turnover. Oh, or like Gannon Baker, are we celebrating the try? Are they trying to do the right thing? Or are they completely making the wrong choice because we haven't taught it well enough yet?
Yeah, and you've been a player, I've been a player, and we've made mistakes, because we anticipate something, or we're trying to make a play. We're trying to, I don't know, a lot of times when we can get caught guarding a shake action where we got to roll and the guy lifting up. We're trying to read we're trying to make a play and read the passer's eyes, and the coach says you got to tag the roller, you got to tag the roller, you got to hit him. Yeah, but at some point, my instincts, I can read that pass and I can go get that shake action pass at the 45 that's going to lead to a straight layup. And when that does happen and I see it and I see it in the game, I was like, hey, that's something that I would do too. I try to bait that 45 pass and try to get the steal. But the other point guard, let's give credit to him. Jumped, he looked him off to the 45 and then hit the big man. Kudos, good play to him. But my low man tag guy that's supposed to tag, he's also trying to make a play. I'm not going to handcuff his instincts. And because especially if it's someone that I've seen that's been able to make that play and he can go back 8 games and it's like, Coach, I've been stealing this ball 8 games in a row, you know. Well, guess what? They watch your film.
They got you this
They
time. Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
You know, so why? Okay, yes, the rule is tag the roller. Okay, good. But I also see that you're on your toes and you're playing DB back there and you're trying to get a pick six for left. I also see that. So I think I have that wiggle room, that feel for I don't feel for the game because I've been in that situation. We've all played. Most coaches have played. We've been in that situation in the low hole where we got a guard two and we're baiting a pass and we're gonna try and steal it and get the so I'm not gonna embarrass the kid, put him in, make an example out of him. No need, no need. Hey, I saw that you got on. I'll pull in and say, "Hey, they got you right here." Yeah, coach, they got me, and it becomes more of a relationship builder. Like, yeah, coach, they got me right there. Okay, next time, let's be a little bit more patient. Let's wait for the ball to be in the air, run up under it. Let's go get a layup.
One of the dangers I think of for coaches that did play is that they are watching the game through players' eyes, meaning like kind of what you said. I
Yeah.
remember doing that, or I think I could do that. When I was a younger coach, I used to think like, golly, if I was in that spot, I could do way better than what they just did right there. And so you almost start to you judge your players based on what you thought you could have done in those spots. Coach, at what point did you start to maybe not look at everything through a player's eyes and just step back, listen to what they see. Like ask them like, "Hey, what?" Because players have to do what they see. Because like an example would be to us it looks open, but what if to that player it doesn't look open and they're trying to do what they see? When did you make that shift?
When I realized these players were better players than when I played, you know? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the greatest player, you know? So some of these players are playing at levels that I've never played at, a competition that I've never played at, coaching with players that I've never got the opportunity to get coached by. And yeah, it's very easy to see, very easy for me to see that player, yeah, that player's a lot better player than what I was. So his processing time is a lot faster than mine. His instincts are faster than mine. His speed, his athleticism, like put him in the right spots. I ain't gonna handcuff him from his instincts and his athletic abilities. Just guide him, and yeah, that was easy to me. But that's a funny story because I always tell my players the day that we have a team that I can beat everyone one on one I know we're not gonna have a good year. You know, if I can come out here and beat all of y'all one on one, we ain't gonna have a good year. You know,
It's
but
a good
if
point.
there's a couple of y'all that can beat me, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. You know, so
I'm at the
yeah.
point now where I tell my players, especially in skill work, "Hey guys, question for you. If I could guard you at the speed you're going, you know it's too slow." That's so the
Yeah.
now the it used probably 10 years ago, it was, "Okay, I could still do something," and now it's or 15 years ago, now it's, "You need to be going faster than what me at 43 can guard you, or else that's just not enough."
Yeah, and sometimes you see it. You see it. I mean, you've been around and practice is low. I take my lanyard off my whistle. I throw it to the side. I raise my joggers up, and everybody gets excited. I mean, I don't get excited, but it does pick up. It does pick up the pace of practice, and now they're bumping me, and I'm waking up with sore ribs and bruises, and doing some movements that I haven't done in some long. But the kids like it. The kids like it. You know, they
How
enjoy
are you
it.
the next day, though? Are you kid
Yeah,
how
no,
when you
first
get
not
out of
the
bed, how
next
you
week.
feeling?
Yeah. No, it's not the next day. It's the next week or so, you know, but they like it. Sometimes it's needed. I get in there, try my best to challenge them and guard them and especially where we're working on our crab dribbles where we got some strong guards and take the bump, you know, and try to strip them low so they can be strong with the ball. And they like that kind of stuff, you know.
With analytics, because we talked a lot about scouting reports and some in-game adjustments, how you use film. I would imagine that analytics or how you use them also influences those areas. So how does that affect your coaching style?
Yeah, but kind of sometimes in the middle, sometimes a bit extreme. I do like points per shot. Points per shot is big when I harp it all the time, and it's I don't want to say that we started, or no one started, but I remember when we played in high school, my buddies and I were just say, hey, we're just gonna shoot threes and get layups. That's like before he like, hey, shoot threes, like we're gonna run and gun. And before any analytics, that's how we always played. Pick a ball, everything like. And then as I started coaching, like, hey, let's just get open threes and let's just get layups. And then the analytics came around, and the mid range jumpers and this and that. And it's very obvious. We track our shot chart for the entire year, and we're like 69% in the twos, and we're in paint twos, and we're 39%, or not 39, but maybe like 34% 3-pointer, and like 36% in the two in the mid range shoots. We just tell our guys, look, if you got 10 shots from each spot, how many points did you score in the paint? How many points did you score in the mid range? How many points did you score in the 3-point line? And they do the math, and they figure out that we get more points by scoring in the paint and the 3-pointers. Have we had some good players that have had shot the mid range? Yes, we have. Do we bark at our kids for shooting the mid range? No, we don't. But it's one of those where when they make it, they look at you, and when they miss it, they don't want to look at you. And it's gotten to the point where the players themselves hold themselves accountable as to those mid range twos. They're there. We don't shoot them at a high percentage, and not because we don't work on them. And we can go back to saying it's an expensive shot. It's something you got to work on a lot, and you're gonna get less point for it. Like you're gonna work on it a lot, and you're also the value of it is also lower. So like it's expensive. It's an expensive thing for us to do. We only get so much time in practice, so that's expensive for us to throw it in and really become good mid-range shooters. If you want to invest on that outside of our practices, you can, but we're not gonna. That's something we're not gonna invest in.
That and I'm kind of similar to you. I'm definitely not D'Antoni. When he was with the Rockets, after the game was over, the guys who shot mid-range twos, their pictures of their faces were plastered on the wall when they came in. How many times they did it and how
Yeah.
like that's extreme.
Yeah.
You've used this term handcuff that I really like too. I want the game to be like a blank canvas, especially on offense, where they can utilize their skill work to create and make jazz right with each other.
Yeah.
The more that constraints you put on them of what they can and can't do, I think it does tighten them up, and it keeps them maybe from playing as free. But I think it's smart to acknowledge those analytics, celebrate when we get those higher percentage looks and what we want. But then if you have a player that does put in enough time, because that mid range can be very dangerous for a player offensively. Like you become basically there's no way to stop you. Because if they can
Yeah.
attack, but they back up, then they hit the three, but then they come guard, and then if they're trying to play soft, you can bury them there.
Yeah.
If you have a guy like that, like our all-time leading scorer at Faith, Dalton Standish, he was great in the mid-range. So I never once told him not to do that. But it comes at a price, like you said. He had to put in a lot of time to become
Yeah.
good at that. And so some of my favorite times are when we look at our shot on Huddle, our shot chart, and their shot chart, and we see that they have a ton of those mid-range and ours is almost empty. Man, we snap and celebrate that because
Yeah.
we're making great choices. But if I do have a guy that can do it, then I let him.
Yeah. We do the same thing, and then we say, hey, look, they're playing for us. They're playing for us because I mean, we have this thing called culture clips, right? And we send out every week, a charge, a fast break, a dive on the floor. They're called culture clips, and we just send them out. And one of my what do we say, god brother? I'm his kid's godson, and he's my kid's godson. He's our middle school coach. He does it for us. He volunteered. He does it. He does a great job. And he sends it out, culture clips, 7, 8 clips, and he'll put a funny caption on it, and So one of the ones that we track is a mid-range shot that is a miss that leads to an over-the-top pass for a fast break. And that one will always be tagged Vela basketball. So if the other team shoots a mid-range and we get the rebound and we get an over-the-top rim run pass, we put it in our culture clip and we say we're playing that. They're playing for us. Pretty much they're playing for us. They're giving
Like
us an
that.
assist here. And then so conversely, we say, do we want to do that to them? Well, no, we don't. We don't. Right. Well, let's not put ourselves in that position. They're playing for us. Let's not give them that same opportunity, and just keep it simple, like look how many points we're getting off these mid-range. For example, when you see that shot chart with your canvas is empty of mid-ranges and theirs is full of mid-ranges. If you were to, because Huddle gives you the option of clicking those mid ranges, how many of those led to your transition points? And
Good. Yeah.
if you were to track that, you're getting a lot of fast break points off of those mid range shots and in line with analytics. Now, I wish we could get sophisticated like they do at the next level NCAA with their resources and stuff like that, going right, pick and roll. Are they going to shoot it? But our game is fast. There's not a lot of possessions where you break down or where you really have this opportunity to apply a lot of analytics because in high school basketball you're gonna see a full court press, you're gonna see a half court press, you're gonna see a zone, you're gonna see a triangle two, a box and one. Where mainly in the college level they're just playing. I'm not gonna just say just man, but a form of man, and they know what to expect, Us, well, on Tuesday we're playing against a 2-3 zone, and then on Friday we're playing against a 1-2-2. So it's very hard to track possessions and
Yep.
transition points. And like for example, if you score on a press break, well, does that count as transition point? Does that count a primary break, secondary break? Like does that count as the first 7 seconds of the possession? Like, well, we broke a press. Like, so I always find myself confused, as to yes, I want to track the analytics, I want to track how fast we're playing, but if I'm faced with a full court press, what do I count as that? A press break? Or what if I break the press and then I fall back and I run my flow? Well, what do I count that as? Like, there's so many variables, I guess, in high school basketball. You come down against a triangle two and you score on that. Is that man offense? Is your man offense being efficient, or is it your zone offense? Like now you're like, oh, where do I group this? Where do I categorize this? And it becomes I get frustrated. Because
Becomes
I do
expensive.
want to. It becomes very expensive. It becomes I lose time. Like, well, what am I gonna categorize this at? They pressed us. We got in our press break and we scored in 7 seconds. Is that fast break or is that press break? Yeah, I don't know.
See, I think I'm not very smart. And so that helps me because I have to keep everything really simple to where I wouldn't even think to categorize those because I just try to boil it down to like offensively, what is our goal when leather touches our fingertips? It's to get the best shot as fast as possible. And so from there, every possession, it can be different and we can kind of rate or evaluate them on a base, but almost to a point where it really doesn't matter what they're doing against a 2-3. Man, we can probably get a three even quicker,
Yeah.
than against man
Oh,
or against their pressure. But that's also, it helps too if we're really trying to run a lot of sets, well, then we're breaking pressure, then we're holding it, coming back out and trying to run that set. Just that becomes a little bit difficult. But when you simplify offense like that, like somebody said, offenses is made, it's supposed to be offensive. Like we're going to attack you. And when we're
yeah.
doing that, man, it doesn't really matter what they do. We can just try to rate how fast we are getting the best shot based on our shooting scale as fast as possible. But I don't know, maybe that simplicity can get me in trouble sometimes but it works for me, I guess.
Yeah, and it's complicated too because we want to play fast, but then end of quarter you're up 14, right? End of half, you are up 14, and you want to minimize your possessions to take a lead into half. Let's just say someone's strategy. Well, now do you vacate those possessions as playing fast? Do you count them because now you're using a strategy rather than your style of play? So okay, 2 minutes. Let's hold this down to six possessions. So we want three for us, three for them, just so we can for sure take a lead into half. We're up 14. You know, six or whatever, plus six, minus six, whatever you want to say. But now, by myself, I remember here telling them, don't push it. I tell it, okay, let's work it. Let's get into our false motion and get into 20 seconds. So now I'm intentionally taking away from playing fast. So should I, like, now we're just so
Guys,
but I like to I like
for 12 minutes we played fast, and then for
yeah,
6 we didn't. But, and there is something to that. Like, I do think there are some great coaches out there like you that you can play multiple styles throughout a game. You can have possessions that are different. And I guess I'm similar to that in a way of in the last 2 minutes of the game, if we're up 8 or less, then without a shot clock, we will come out and hold it. We'll get into our delay game, and you just got to come guard us or foul us, and we'll shoot free throws. But I have been pretty consistent with up until that point in 12 years on a live ball, made bucket or change of possession. I've never told them to hold it. And I used to even think like maybe at the end of quarters, if we get it with 30 seconds or less, all right, we're going to hold for one. And I just stopped doing that too. Just push it. Let's play fast. Let's not even think about that clock. It doesn't exist. Momentum, some people say like if the other team scores 3 possessions in a row, like that's a run going on. Or if you miss a lot of threes in a row, you should attack the paint more. We're just going to take each possession separate and push it. And again, I don't know if that's necessarily the smartest way, but I want guys to play fast and free and do our very, very best to not think differently about one possession because of what happened in the past. And so part of that is if I'm holding them or slowing them down because of the clock or something minus those last 2 minutes, then I think overall, I don't want them looking over at me or thinking. But coach, that's just like you said before, that's just a way to do it. It's not the
yeah,
only way. And I mean, golly, I think Danny Henderson and Marcus Smart and Phil Forte and Kenny Bourne, they won state championships playing a very different style than that.
yeah.
And
And
I think
then
it's kind of
you
what you're
said earlier
comfortable with.
you said earlier that's I don't know that's the smart way. It's not a smart way or not smart way. It's just
Yeah.
we've tried making basketball a science, and it's really not a science. I think someone said it in your podcast. It's an art, it's not a science. Like where a formula is going to equate to a win. Now, are there variables that might help? Well, it might help one game, but those variables might not. And I think, I mean, when I played, there was, I mean, there was no analytics. There was like you went out there and there was a battle every possession and you try to win that battle. The analytics have tried helping, and I'm a big people make fun of me because I'm a quote unquote big analytics guy, but at the same time, let's play some basketball and there's a opportunity to battle every possession. Will the analytics help us and guide us as to what we can or should do? Yes, but at the end of the day, let's knuckle down. Let's bump some cutters that are coming through. Let's fight through some screens. Let's blitz some screens. Let's box someone out. And if they shoot a high percentage shot, they might miss that high percentage shot too. So we got to be in a position to rebound that high opportunity. And if they shoot that low percentage, that I always say, I don't know if you're familiar with the term Gallos, but Gallos count. Lucky shots count. Lucky
Like
shots
that.
count. So they count too. So we got to guard the lucky shots too that
Yeah.
that are inefficient. You know,
What was the term you said there?
Down here we call it gallos. Gallos is a rooster, so gallos count. So
How do you spell that?
Gallos, and it's just a low percentage lucky shot. Those count as well.
I started using that in Waco. And I just go, hey, Gallos, tip our hat. What do you think?
Oh
What are
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. Those are yeah, guy. That's
Because
exactly what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, because you can do everything right sometimes, and that
That's
shot
exactly what it
happens,
is.
but that doesn't mean that we don't care. Like,
Yeah,
don't stop playing hard just because they made a lucky shot. Those
yeah,
can add up over time. I've
yeah.
seen sometimes, like, I feel like we got way better shots up percentage or quality of shots than they did, but they made some really hard shots. Well, like you just said, I mean, those count, it's
Those
and
count.
I like that.
Yeah, they do. We and hey, but they count for us too. They count for us also.
I think at the end of the day, what we're talking about too is knowing yourself. Like you and I, we coach differently. There's definitely some similarities I could tell with it. But there's going to be I've never met a coach that's identical to the other. We're all pulling things and we're watching things happen. You're a great X or Twitter follow because of all when you watch games, you actually post things that
Yeah,
you see from those games. And I love that. Like I don't do that and but I love it when people do because I learn so much from you and what you're seeing. But we all take these experiences that we've had, people that we've learned from, and maybe even people we've played with, and we try to make a style of play that fits our players the best. But then at the end of the day, you've got to own it and you've got to
yeah,
be, in a way, sold out to it so that your players believe in it and then they can go try to go do it. Because the moment that you and I start to say, hey, this is how we're going to play, but you know what? I don't know if that'll work against them or, you know what? Maybe we're going to make a dynamic shift. We start to lose credibility. And so I think the belief that we have in whatever we're going to do, that's huge for our players.
and with that too, like you gotta speak your language. Don't try and speak someone else's language. Put it in terms that your kids understand. Like just like on Twitter, I might use rip screen or screen the screener or some or ram screen. Yeah, I'm not talking like that to my players. Like I'm talking to them in a way that they understand. Uh, that they know that I know what I'm talking about in a comfortable way, in a conversational way. I don't need to impress anybody with my jargon. I don't, nothing like that. Let's just talk our version of basketball, and basketball is its own language and we don't use the high end vocabulary, but we do talk basketball. If you're going to ask me a question during basketball, you're going to ask me with some basketball vocabulary, but our vocabulary words aren't like five syllables either. They're simple, they're short. Let's get the
Yeah.
point across. Let's talk in a way that we all understand. Everybody knows on our side what's in our program, what a loaded side is, what a single side is, what is a gap. They simple. They know what it is, and it's a universal language amongst our program. But it's simple, and if you can't explain it, then you should probably do something that you can explain in a way without you using a lot of uhs, a lot of no, just speak fluid. Whatever comes out and that you can speak fluid, do that. Do that. No need to impress anybody.
Simplicity is sophistication.
Yeah.
And so the easier that we can make things for our players, I think the quicker they can put it into practice where because everybody will say stop thinking so much. I don't really like that idea. Stop thinking so much. Like we need our players to think. What we want them to do, stop thinking so much. We want them to be more instinctive with what they're doing. See it, do it. Be able to make that choice. Well, one, put them in those situations where they can see it and do it and then replicate it. But the second thing is simplify. There's a part of me that I love to do an experiment because you see some of these guys out there that do a great job of watching a ton of games and they clip a play or an action and it's
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, E, E, plus like all these actions tied together in this thing
Yeah.
for something I feel like I've seen a ton before, but they have all
Yeah.
these different words and name it all these different things. I thought I'd just come out with I'll put a clip out there and just make up a bunch of crap. Like put a bunch of words next to it that actually don't mean anything and see
Yeah.
if it catches on because
Yeah.
there's probably 18 different words for a pin down that people are
Yeah.
using right now. So that's just maybe a personal thing.
The
I'll
veer,
never do it.
veer, veer, veer. Oh, they're doing veer. Well, that looks like a pin down too. Like, like. like, uh,
Although you said
yeah,
12 words right there. Do you mean this, like this action
yeah.
right here? And again,
Well,
I
yeah,
want,
but well, yeah, but it's that, but they just, yeah, yeah. We don't need to take basketball there,
and
it's
Danny Henderson at a clinic said it best. He wants to give directions that cannot be misunderstood. Wow. Like,
yeah,
say things to your players in a way that they cannot misunderstand those. And the more steps we add to things, the more jargon we throw out, the more we coach speak, the longer our clips are that when we talk to them, the more it can be misunderstood.
yeah. What an easy word for me is not an easy word for someone else, especially if we go back to where we started. If the level of interest of basketball does not match mine, like back to where we started, like
Yeah.
they don't care to know what I don't know what a new a slide the new a slide concept is, a cut from the corner and slide to the corner, they don't need to know that, they don't care to they're not watching half court hoops on Twitter,
Right.
but they're not, yeah, they're not doing that. They're watching their own TikToks, they're
Yeah.
doing that. Like they could quiz me on their vocabulary and I wouldn't know where to start, with those new terminology that they use in the classroom, So it goes both ways and they don't, and I don't want to say care, but they don't practice, or they're not involved, they're not consumed in the game as much as we are.
I think again, it goes back to like you said at the very beginning. We want them to carry an appropriate amount for a 17-year-old, for a 16-year-old. But then also I think we're mandated. I don't know if you feel the same way. The times where I've been too consumed by this game, either as a player in high school or college, or even as a coach, when this becomes my identity, where all my value is wrapped up in how many wins we have, how much success in a season, or as a player, you know, what the game can do for me. Man, when it becomes that and we stop remembering to keep the main thing, that's when this gets really hard. And that's when I heard a great clip about Caitlin Clark, and she was talking to somebody about praise and blame and how connected those two things are, and how the way that you crave or the way that you react to praise will dictate how you react to blame. So, as
Yeah,
coaches, if we are striving, we're only happy when we win because of how we react to that, we will be that much more upset and
yeah,
feel hopeless when we lose. And so what's the thing? Like keep that balance of some games will win, some games will lose, but we're process based and we're never going to get too high or too low. We talk to our players like that, coach, but man, I think we got to remember to stay that way.
yeah. No, that I've never heard that, but yes, it definitely, if you're doing it for the praise, you're doing it for the wrong reason. You do it because at least for me, like there's some passion there, the figuring out, putting together the organization part. I don't even call would say a coach, like I'm a manager of the program. I'm organizing the practice plan. I'm developing the players, creating a schedule. I'm networking with coaches, watching film, game planning. It's the holistic part. And the winning is just the byproduct of that. Winning and losing is the byproduct of the everyday, I don't want to use the word grind because it's not really a grind, but the everyday things to do list that becomes to winning. And when you take care of all of that, then win or lose, you in the back of your head, you know that you're knocking off things on your checklist, and that for me is what's fun, going to practice. Well, starting just from practice planning, from organizational standpoint, mapping out what we got to do, and then putting kids in a situation, and then building a schedule that's going to be competitive, then managing the budget, and then teaching our coaches, and then game planning, and all that stuff that is a small part of the big umbrella of being a head coach is what's fun, and winning is the byproduct of all that, and when you win, like, and you're expected to win, it's like, okay, let's do it again. Next one. Okay, let's clip the fit. let's clip the film. What were mistakes? What were problems? What do we need to fix? What are we going to adjust? What are we going to see next? All right, let's plan. Let's organize. Let's get to it. All right, another game. Did we check out? Yes, we checked out. Good. All right. And that's what's fun for me, not the end of the score. Yes, of course, we're all in it to win, and some programs are fortunate to win more than others, not because of the coach themselves, but because just in situations that they're in. I know a lot of great coaches here that check off all those boxes that we just talked about. That they're just waves of talent. Sometimes they get a good wave, other times they don't, and it has nothing to do with that coach. That coach is doing everything the right way, putting their kids in to be successful on the court, managing their assistant coaches, developing good schedules, going out networking, game planning, but we're not going to judge that coach just by the end of winning or losing. They're promoting their program well. There's a lot of stuff, and unfortunately, we do get judged on that 32-minute game.
That reminds me of Tom Inman, legendary coach from Plano High School, won a state championship with John Robertson. He played at Texas Tech, but I was at a state tournament years ago when I was at McKinney with Wes Watson and hanging out with Tom, Coach Inman after, and I said, "Coach, man, how'd you win state? Like, how'd you do that?" Because to me, especially in UIL, where it's what 6 or 7 rounds, like it's a beating to make it all the way through, and if you can do it and win it, that's just incredible. And he said, "Matt, like we're jockeys," and I'm a young coach. I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, at the end of the day, the best horses win." And I think there is some truth to that, where you can be a good coach, but if you got the best horses, you can do a lot with that. But I also think a great coach can take a horse or a team that's not that great and help them to gas out, to max out, to reach their potential. I would
Yes.
rather, and you nailed it. Like, we're not going to get judged this way, but I wish we could, by our players, by our parents, by our administration, by anyone, judge us by, here's the talent we had, and over the course of the year, did we improve and did we reach our ceiling the best that we could be with the group that we have? And if that's the case, then that was success. We were successful. 8-22 or 22-8. Did we gas out? Because my senior year at Baylor, with 6 scholarship players, and Coach Drew is a 32-year-old, we were 8-21, incredibly successful because we weren't supposed to win a game at all. But that's not really the world that we live in. But there are times where I think that's where in the coaching profession, maybe we can have each other's back, celebrate each other when we
Yes, for
see
sure.
guys max out.
Yeah, what's your version of the Super Bowl? And that's a conversation that should have at the beginning of the season. Okay, what's our version this year of a Super Bowl? And for some teams, it's win district and go few rounds deep. For others, and we know those select food is win state. For others, it's get the 4th seed in the playoffs. And for others, is win 10 games. That's our version and nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your version of winning your season and winning the Super Bowl, and celebrate it, and for that accomplishment, for whatever you set those goals to be at the beginning of the season. Celebrate it, because we all know nowadays there's 2 state championships at each level, but those 2 aren't the only ones that had a successful season,
Right.
to their goals.
I think a lot that we've been talking about here, though, is about players and how we communicate with them. What confidence is such a big thing, and you can see players, even at the highest levels, confidence go up, confidence go down. What role do we play in a player's confidence?
Yeah. So the first thing is confidence. And we all know, for the most part, it's associated with making basket. Oh, he's not making basket. That's his confidence is down. Well, that's not confidence. Like, confidence is what you're doing to bring value to your team, and we celebrate that a lot. We talked about earlier about the fast breaks off of a mid range jumper. Well, the guy that got the rebound, he contributed to it. The guy that he outlet to got the rebound. The one that's going to get the ton of credit is the one that made the layup. But those three guys all played a pivotal part. So we give confidence to those players in that respective possession. The guy that contested the shot, the one that got the rebound, the one that got the outlet that made the perfect pass for the stride layups. I think recognizing their contributions to the teams, and we know not everybody is a 20-point scorer, a 12-point scorer. Some might go 0 points the whole game, but played with a ton of confidence. Why? Because what was asked to do in that game, they did at a high level. So just remind them that what their job is, that respective game, or for that respective team, that they're doing it at the high level. We all associate confidence with making baskets, but there's a ton of players that go the whole game without scoring and playing confident the whole way because they did the right thing. So just remind them that yes, you missed that shot, but the way you're guarding their best player is second to none. Keep doing that. That's what you're doing good. That's what you're doing good.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. I think rewarding more than just the leading scorer or the guys that score a lot. And then maybe so at the end of your game or maybe at the next practice, when you have a moment for celebrations, like a reminder of what are some things, guys, that you thought went really well in that game? And they start talking, and that's an opportunity, one, to listen to what they see and kind of take away some of the things that, wow, I don't know. I didn't really think that was that big of a deal, but a few guys have mentioned that. But that's also a good time for us as coaches to get to highlight those players that did do the little things that don't always show up. But the glue guys, right, that we all know are
Yeah.
super important. I think that goes a long way because if you're not careful through social media or through your maybe even the way that you speak or act towards you kind of start celebrating the same players
Yeah.
every game. And even though that leading scorer, the guys that do it, carry the load there, that's important. We can be really intentional with highlighting those small things. And those comments, I feel like go a long, long way.
And I find myself like not needing to bring everybody together to celebrate, but like we'll be in the middle of practice or the next day because our after games are light days, and we'll be like, man, hey Derek, that was two first two floors yesterday, man. Good job. That was two first two floors. Man, so and so, hey, two charges yesterday? Not bad, not bad. Two charges yesterday. Hey, stick hands. I saw you, three stick hands. Did you see that? You made them put it on the ground. And just subtle comments throughout the practice to let them know that what they did. And then in the middle of the game, for sure, because we're talking about confidence in games and things like that, letting them know that what they're doing, they're bringing value to the team. And value comes in many different ways. And just reminding them that what they're doing in their roles and that just keep doing what you're doing. You're all right. You're all right. You're all right. Coach, I have it. You're all right. You're helping us win. Are we up? Yeah. Okay. You're playing well. I ain't upset at you. You're upset at yourself because you haven't made a shot. But what you're doing defensively, or that extra pass to the corner, or that kill spot that you just had, boom, or a big one. Here's a big one that I celebrate is when we have a balanced side and the slot guy recognizes it and he just gives a rub cut and takes his defender with him, and the ball handler comes behind him into that triple gap that we like to a single side, and we get a score. I'll even call a timeout for that. Hey, we scored because of you. That was a rub assist right there. You gave us the
Yeah.
gap, you cut, and we got the layup, or it resulted in a score. It resulted in a score, but you recognize that we were balanced and we didn't have a gap that we like in our offense. So you just cut through. You took your defender, and our ball handler came right rubbing off of your back. And the big man stepped up, and we dished it to the five, and we got a layup. And the guy that got the assist and the big man that got the layup are going to get the whole credit. But I'm going to call a timeout. I'm going to make sure and let that kid know that made that rub cut. And that's going to give him confidence. Like, hey, I didn't score or anything, but I made the right play. You're making plays out there. So I think there's different ways to give confidence. I like to give confidence like that. Like I said, a lot of times when people say you got to give them confidence, they associate it with making shots.
Yeah.
Well, he's not making shots. How you gonna give him confidence? Well,
Coach, you
coach,
telling me that there's no parent meeting that you're going to have where they They talk about you're hurting my son's defensive confidence. That's that
Yeah, yeah, they were
that
right.
doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. So it's not confidence, just not associated with that. So we try to reinforce the good stuff that they're doing, sprinting, sprinting, creating space, boxing out. A lot of times we talked about earlier, facing a guy that's eight offensive rebound guy, and hey man, no rebounds for number 22 yesterday. Good job, man.
And I think you've nailed something right here. I agree that you can do this in a group setting for sure, because I like to end every game, win or lose, with celebrations. And my post games, I've eliminated those. So my post games, they're 3 minutes long. They're out at center court, and we do celebrations, talk about tomorrow's schedule, and then we let them go eat pizza or be with their friends. But because we want them to care an appropriate amount. You and I are gonna be up till 1, but they don't need to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
they
but
know.
I love the idea of those individual little touches that you're getting, and I was trying to think of when are good times to do that, because most of us will a day after game. Let's say it's a Wednesday, that'll be a lighter day, like you said.
Yeah,
That's a really good day for the weight room. That's a really good day. Every day is a good day for skill work, but definitely on that
yeah.
Wednesday. Because some coach said that all offense is skill work, but I think those are times during skill work, you can go around and get individual touches and give those reminders. And during the weight room, I would encourage myself and any other coach during the weight room, don't clump together in the weight room and let them just do their workout. Be active during it for sure, walking around, but that's a great place for individual touches and conversations. Maybe you saw that Johnny after the game was a little bit down, and you can ask him, "Man, how are
Yeah,
you feeling after?" And he said, "Coach, I didn't shoot very well." "Oh, you know what? But I loved your shots that you took."
yeah,
And Johnny, you might not have hit a high percentage now, but what does that mean for the next game? Coach, that means I'm probably going to go off. Yeah. Like that's how we think about that. Right.
yeah,
And so, but if you don't take advantage of those small moments, then you may miss out on opportunities to help enhance their confidence.
yeah. Wait, that I don't coach in the weight room. Like I don't coach in the weight room. I do exactly what you say. Assistant coaches, you got the weight room, you got the workout, and I'm doing exactly what you just said. Like building relationships. I might jump in a set with the guys. Like hey, this is all you can do. I'm gonna do it too. That is my time to joke around with them
Yeah.
to and I'll go down and give them those nuggets like, hey, good job. Hey, you were down. What happened? I didn't make any shots. Hey, you didn't make any shots, but this, and this, or hey, what's up? Or I'll even talk to, hey, what you do last night? Did you go see so and so, or did like the weight room is not my strength for like even like I'm not gonna sit here and say like I could put up some good workouts or this and that. So just leave it to my assistant. Let them that be that their baby. If they want to do it on the whistle, they do it on the whistle. If they want to do it, everybody they write it on the board. Make sure you get these 5 workouts in, whatever they want to do. But me, I'm in there building those relationships, pinching them in the rib cage, give them a nudge, talking a little bit of smack, humbling the best player, but giving that confidence to the role players and managing those kind of relationships. Like I said, I'll jump in the set. I'll just be relaxed in there. That I'm not gonna be, man. That's all you're doing, man. Come on, like you can do more than that. Like sometimes I will just say, well, if you can do 10, I'm gonna do 12, and they're like, well, let's have more weight, and then just finding different ways. But that's where I take a step back and kind of wanna just mess around with them and have those one-on-ones.
I think that's a great point, man. Early on in faith, I think I was on too much. I was on all the time, and that can be a lot. I on in
Yeah,
the weight room, on in skill work, on in film, and didn't take enough time to let them see a little bit of my personality to get to just have a conversation with them, not just as Coach Sayman, but as just somebody that cares about you and wants to know how your day was. And I like that. Like, where can we and I think the summer is a great time for us not to be
yeah,
on all the time, or else you get those players start to view us, I think, more as this is a transactional relationship. We only care what they can do for us on the floor, And then how do we be more transformational, delegate some of those responsibilities to our coaches, and then figure out times where we don't have to be on all the time.
Yeah, and man, you hit on the like it's hard, like being on in film, like film on the court, in the weight room, in the locker room, supervising, like being on. Like I'm 100% honest. I might not be on one day in practice. I might like imagine that because it's become a year-round thing, and not, like you're saying in the summer, be off. Like we're asking these guys to come in the summer on their own time to where they can do other things, family vacation.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be on them. And I know some coaches say, well, that's what they're here for, that's what they're here. Well, yeah, that's what they're here for. But at the same time, they don't have to be here, they're just here, they want to be here. You can still get through a lot of you can be super productive, without being on. You can do I mean, I like that quote you said, every skill, every offense is skill every day,
Yeah.
just let them
Offensive
work
skill
on their
work. Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Just let them work on your game with your parameters, okay, we
Yeah.
are lane line driving offense. Get in there and give them a couple of moves, a couple of drills that they're going to get in there and work on their lane line offense. And then with a kick out, with your rules, with your concepts, with a fill behind, and let them, you don't have jump in the drill with them. Jump in the drill with them and show them that you can shoot or you can dribble as also, or just be the corner guy. Like you don't have to
That's
be on all
dangerous
the
for me,
time.
coach, right now. I want to try to keep a little mystery in that to where like, man, could he play? Yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
think he
they know
could,
I
but
can. So man, get in there, like be off. It's okay, be off. Like you said, like you named like 4 or 5 things where you got to be on, and you're like, man, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of stress. And for us that do this, we're trying to be perfect every time. And imagine being on and trying to be perfect at every situation, at those 4 things that you mentioned, man. That can wear you down. That can wear you down. You know. So take some time, coach.
yeah, thanks, man. I need that reminder. I think
Yeah,
we all do. Hey, before I let you go here, because we've been going for an hour and a half. Hopefully, it didn't feel like that.
they don't feel like that. I'm barely warming up.
That's right. You're on. You're not even through your monster.
I
So,
know
favorite ice cream flavor,
vanilla.
greatest shooter of all time,
I got curry.
too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you stand up or sit down more in games?
I'll stand up. I don't sit down at all.
No.
Gotta get my steps
Why
in.
just stand up? Get your steps.
No, we usually have a big team, coach. We usually have a big team. It's hard to get a lot of chairs out there. I just stand up. Squat.
Top three dinner guests, any time period.
Oh man, I'm gotta say Kobe Bryant,
Oh yeah.
Michael Jordan, and I would love to have my dad with those two, and myself, us four.
How do you think Kobe and Jordan would be just
Yeah,
sitting around talking? Would they be competing like every second of that conversation or
I would just sit back and watch them
that's
compete.
right.
I wouldn't even join it. Me and my dad will be over here laughing, and they can go at it themselves. I'll be the instigator.
For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Oh man, this is a tough one. I'm gonna go no shot clock.
Okay. Okay. Tell me why.
Yeah, I mean,
Just the
it's
strategy of
just
it?
I I've gone back and watched our possessions, and our possessions are long and like us and our opponents. They've
Yeah.
never been like to where like, do we really need a shot clock? And I do think that there's a lot of programs, and this is no offense to anybody, where coaches are more of a, hey man, we need coaches that aren't like programs where they're trying to win. They're trying to, and it'll be very hard to establish a good system to that will play with the shot clock rules, or programs that rely a lot on football players that
Yeah.
they're not there till they come mid-season. They don't practice year round with a shot clock, and I 100% see the benefits of it. But in our area, And statistics show most kids their basketball career ends at high school. And I understand that we're trying to prepare kids to the next level, but if it is for that reason, right? Well, I would believe so. They would start in AAU basketball. Like a lot of those kids are gonna play college basketball. You know, a lot of those are gonna be playing at the next level. They should put it and try it out, see how it goes there, and then slowly bring it down, or have a shot clock tournament. Let's have a shot clock tournament this upcoming season for a trial. Now that's what I've thought about. In the summer, we live in the valley where the Vipers, we have the Vipers down here, and they have a nice practice facility with shot clocks. Like, let's have a shot clock tournament there and see like how those possessions look or how the game looks. And I don't know how the game's gonna look, you know.
Like the argument for it because we need to develop players for the next level.
Yeah,
I think you nailed it. Most of our possessions are underneath the shot clock to begin with.
yeah,
If we want to develop them for the next level, then run next level actions, have next level skill work, next level
yeah,
strength and conditioning workouts,
yeah,
structure your season and your days like it'll be at the next level. I don't think the shot clock does that. And what you're doing is you're saying, "Hey, we need to do this because of the small percentage of teams that have a lot of guys that will do
yeah,
that." Where you go down to the 5A, 4A, 3, whatever, all the way, that gets less and less. And so
yeah.
I don't like that argument. I do like it from a development standpoint overall because it'll make kids have to it'll make offenses be more conceptual rather than just that play didn't work, come back up, run another play. Try, again, they're going to have to be forced to, if that initial action doesn't work, play within space or a ball screen and create. But I'm with you
But
there.
we're I mean we're I think where we do get it. Because I mean, I don't know if you've ever thought about it. Like, if they go shot clock, I'm token pressure, sitting in a zone and hoping they shoot a prayer. And then they're gonna say, well, they're not developing them anymore defensively because they're just putting token pressure, sitting in a three-quarter court defense and forcing a tough shot under 10 seconds. They're switching to man and 10, and then they're trapping at 5, and now they're throwing like. Because I've thought about this strategy too. Like, okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
sit back, token pressure, zone,
Defensively, it
12
gets fun.
seconds,
Yeah.
go man, and then about 6, go double the ball, make them pass a couple of times. Now they're shooting rush 3, boom, and then no, everybody's gonna say like, well, you're not developing defensively. Well, yeah, but we're playing by the rules now. It's like Nate Duncan on Twitter said they should eliminate the fouling up 3, uh, under 4 because it takes the excitement away from the game. Well, we're just gonna keep adding different layers and layers and layers to the game. And same thing with the shot clock. When that does happen, well, then you can't do this, and then you can't do that. I think our high school game is entertaining enough. It's developed players all these years. You know, you don't see Julius Randle struggling
Yeah.
in the NBA. He didn't play with a shot clock
That's
in high
right.
school.
They'll
You know,
figure it out.
you
They'll
know,
figure it out real
yeah,
quick.
yeah. Those guys
And
are gonna get there because they're gonna get there. You know.
that's right. Julius Randle scored 45. I was at McKinney, scored 45 on us as a sophomore. He didn't need anything. He was just fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah, shot
also too,
clock or
I
shot.
think people will say, well, the gut reaction will be, "Oh, I hate when people hold the ball or when the scores in the that doesn't happen a lot. Like we're
No,
we're we're
yeah,
really getting upset about a super small percentage of games that, yeah, if I was a fan, I wouldn't want to watch that either. And I was a coach, I probably wouldn't, because Joe Crispin with the authored the book Offense Wins, one of my favorite books, and I had him on, but he was talking about his personal constraints as a coach. We all have our personal constraints where there's a way that the game can't go. We just won't allow it to go because we can't stand it. And one of my personal constraints is I hate slow basketball. I hate it.
yeah,
I hate it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch it. Don't want to be a part of it. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. But my whole thing is like in my personal constraints, I want to keep their best players sitting at the score table for as long as possible. And there's a whole other part of that conversation too that people miss is
yeah,
the other side of the ball. Why are they sitting back there? Why
Yeah.
don't you come trap them? Why don't you force them to play? But anyway, that's a rabbit
Yeah,
hole.
we can go back and forth, but I just see a lot of in our area, you know, like a lot of like there's a lot of dual sport athletes, and not to
Yeah,
say they won't be able to adjust, but to teach them the game later throughout the year. You know, it's already hard as it is transitioning from one sport to another in the middle of the season. And then adding that layer of shot clock and teaching them a conceptual offense, and
it's
you
fair.
know,
Yeah.
it's not, you know,
Yep.
so
Let's see. Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I love the turkey, mashed potatoes, cheesy mashed potatoes, week off, you know. And we've scheduled to where we play Tuesday, and we'll practice Wednesday, and then we're off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you know, like, let's
Good
do that.
call. That tournament that you
Yeah,
could play on Friday and Saturday of that week, I feel
man.
like that withdraws from parents and players' accounts. It doesn't deposit for sure.
That's one of those you make a decision like before, oh, this is gonna be awesome. And then it comes around like, why did I
I
schedule
do
this?
this.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
one
like
of
the
those
5th
where
game. It's like the 5th game of tournaments. You go
yeah,
into a tournament, you're like, "Man, we're gonna get 5 games here." And after that 4th one, "Really, do we have to play this 5th one?" Like,
it's the fifth guaranteed game.
yeah, yeah. Do players sit the rest of the half with 2 fouls?
No, no.
What book would you give someone?
Coach, I'm not a big reader. I would recommend podcasts. That's what I would do. I listen to you.
What do
I
you like to
listen
listen to?
to you, Quick Timeout, Slapping Glass, and Oliver. The the name, yeah. Yeah.
That's a good
I keep a
take me
Word
out of it, that's a
document.
pretty good group right there.
No, I keep a Word document of quotes that I get from you all on my computer at school, because that's where I watch it, but don't tell
Coach, I
anybody.
wanna throw this out. Tell me what you think of this. Me and Matt Garnett, I do MG basketball camps with him, and he's kinda partnered with me. Have you ever seen or heard of the book by Tim Ferriss called Tools of Titans?
No.
Okay. It's this big, thick book. I don't think I have it here, but big, thick book, and Tim Ferriss hosts a podcast, and it's more on daily habits and anything he's interested in. It ranges all over the place. He's had Arnold Schwarzenegger on, he's had, like, all these people, and so but he put this book together, Tools of Titans. It's basically, like, 2 or 3 pages of highlights of that
That's
that
awesome.
podcast. Coach Garnett and I are thinking of because I've kinda broken this down into seasons, and, like, we're
Yeah,
going through season 1 right now, and the first 35 or 40, getting some of those quotes, like you said, some of the big
yeah.
nuggets, putting them in an ebook form and sending them out. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that'd be awesome. Let me know. Let me know.
Okay.
I either put them on my phone here. If I'm listening in my car, I'll put them on my phone. If I'm listening on somewhere else, I'll find a place to jot them, you know?
Because
And
selfishly, like, I've been able to learn so much by doing this,
yeah,
and I think I'm better today than I was 4 years ago because of starting this, and but I don't want like, I went through the JD Mayo episode, and I think he was number 11 or something like that, but there are so many golden nuggets in there from someone like him that I have forgotten, or I never wrote down, or just kind of frozen in that, and so pulling those out, putting them together, we're working on it. We just gotta figure out a
yeah,
way to get it all together. How do we share it? Things like that. I think
yeah.
all coaches love
Just
free stuff
li
or yeah.
a live document, a Google Doc would
Yeah.
probably be the easiest, or I even thought about doing it on Google Sheets where you can write the quote, the episode, and the author of the quote, you know, and
Yeah.
we can talk about that all the time. We
Okay.
can
Um,
hyperlink it to the exact spot of the quote, you know, so you can go back. There are tons of ideas on
that's
there. You
good.
can go on another
Uh,
rabbit hole.
couple more here. Favorite place to travel?
My wife and I like going Las Vegas. That's where we got married. That's where we got married. I've been fortunate to have a supporting wife that takes me to the Las Vegas Summer League. I don't take her; she takes me.
That's
So
cool.
we've gone a couple of times. We've gone several, like 3 times over there, and we enjoy going over there.
That
Yeah,
it's up to her. She can take me there if she like, because that would be super fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
she can take me for her birthday.
If If this was your last year of coaching, what would you do more of?
If this was I would do a lot more um, memory building activities, and I recently saw a group of kids there from a previous team, and all they talked about were the memories. Memories. I remember this, coach. I remember that. I remember this. I remember that. And so I think as coaches, we sometimes get dubbed this title of that we teach lifelong lessons. But as I'm doing this more, I think we're more of a memory makers, memory builders, and they remember that more than anything. All the memories, Not to disagree that we don't change life, because that is part of it, but the memories that we build with these kids, those are lifelong memories. I think that's what I would do.
It's one in basketball. Who's the GOAT?
Michael Jordan for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Coach, this has been so enjoyable, man. And that's what I love about basketball and coaching is you and I had very small, short interactions, but we were able to
yeah.
go an hour and 40 minutes talking hoops and sharing things. And I got a ton out of this talk. I just really want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, I don't know what made you ask me. I don't know how, but it was great. When you asked me, I'm always down to talk hoops. This is the first podcast I ever do, and I didn't know how I was going to do or not. And this was awesome. And I mean, I don't see it as a podcast. I just see it as talking to a friend about hoops, and that's it, sharing ideas. I learned a lot too. And a lot of the stuff that we learn is not groundbreaking and life changing, but sometimes it's like reaffirmation and a
No
couple
doubt.
of nuggets, a couple of little nuggets that you do over there with your programs, and that I can kind of implement in my program. And we wouldn't do this if we weren't trying to get better at our profession. I admire the the people that provide content out there, because people only see, it's like a coach, they only see the end product. They don't see the editing, the cutting, the uploading, the time, the planning, the chat gpt, the getting ready, getting prepared, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
because it's probably crossed all of our minds, but none of us have jamodied it, just a matter of doing it. But the ones that have, kudos to you all, because it's a big job. What did that coach say? Coaching thank yous, or I forgot what he said on one of your past.
Paychecks. Coaching
Coaching paychecks,
paychecks. Yeah.
coaching paychecks, and same thing with your podcast. That they're just coaching paychecks that we're giving each other.
Yeah, it's like another way to get those because you want to get them from your players and you
Hmm.
rarely get them from your parents, but sometimes.
Yeah,
But it's really cool to hear from a coach that says, "Man, this has really impacted me." And
yeah,
my first motivation was to get to learn from coaches like you, from everybody I've had on. But then the idea that other people would listen to it and learn from it, that just has blown me away. And you kind of mentioned why have you on? Well, first of all, this is, you know, to me, this is for us, right? Like this
yeah,
is for high school coaches. I mean, maybe college
yeah.
coaches listen to it. I'd be honored if they do,
Mm,
but I think there's most of us or the most coaches out there, the large number are high school coaches because it's like a pyramid, right? There's the fewest
yeah,
NBA coaches, there's less college coaches, and then there's a ton of us. And we can learn from each other just as much as we can learn from college coaches. And I got to, like I said, got to meet you. I love getting to
yeah,
talk to coaches in different areas of the state and kind of see what's going on there and connect. And also too, like I said, you're a great X follow or Twitter follow that I think people can reach out to. And on that note, if they had any questions about, your culture clips or anything like that, what would be a good way for them to connect with you?
yeah. They could just text me or email me, either or get on X. I grew up in the era where X was just beginning, and I was a college kid, so my X handle isn't really that professional, because I was a young kid. So it's just my name, but with my Xbox gamer tag. So I just kept it the same, and I haven't changed it since. the picture and the name and the description might be professional, but my X handle is original from my college days when I was young, and I never thought I'd be a high school coach or in the position I'm in right now. So it's not as professional. So it's LUC, I think 3 E's and 4 O's. That spells my name, Lucio. So and then my
I
phone number.
appreciate the fact that you've kept it the same, man. Like that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's something authentic about that.
That's who I am. I'm not here to change who I am.
You're
I'm
not
not
playing
trying to be
coach.
someone I'm not. No, I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. That's me
Yeah.
right there, and I don't need to change it to anything else. And then my phone number is 956-821-0805, and my email is lucio.rod24@gmail.com.
Well, man, this was great. And again, good luck the rest of this summer and next year, and hope to connect with you more. But thank you again for coming on, man.
No, appreciate you, coach. And this will definitely not be a transactional relationship. It'll be a transformational relationship, and we'll keep in touch. Let us know how we can help. And I know you said you wanted to get coaches up the state, but this was really down the state, down here in the Rio Grande Valley. I don't know if you've ever been down here before.
Haven't, but no, that just meant like all over the state
Yeah,
of
I know it.
Texas. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
We're a good college, a good basketball area. We
yeah.
have a basketball clinic at the island every year, and late
What's the
April we
name of
have the
that?
UTR, the South Padre Island Clinic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have our UTRGB Division 1 program here, and then we have the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. So it's a good basketball area down here that we're trying to grow. I got good resources that are coming up.
Well, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, enjoy your day.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.